probably one of the best lifestyle destination for entrepreneurs. Very relaxed, amazing beaches. But the problem is it just lacks a startup ecosystem.
Meet Dave Williams, serial entrepreneur and digital nomad OG from the US. Since 2017, he's been based in Algarve, Portugal, working on turning the beautiful coast into a new Silicon Valley. Let's jump in. You're based in Algarve?
Yeah, I live in the Algarve, so I moved to the Algarve back in 2017.
Okay.
And so I'm doing a lot in the Algarve at the moment because the startup scene there reminds me a lot of almost like the .com days back in Atlanta. It's just early days, everything's just getting started.
That's super cool. What are the challenges and opportunities that you see in Algarve these days?
Well, probably one of the best lifestyle destination for entrepreneurs. Very relaxed, amazing beaches. But the problem is it just lacks a startup ecosystem. And so the Algarve Tech Hub, which is almost like is a startup hub based out of Faro, was launched, I'd say about 10 years ago or so, maybe not quite 10 years ago, 8 years ago, by a guy, Miguel Fernandez, who runs a company called Dengen, based out of the Faro, and one of the very early adopters in the industry. And so his idea was we want to create more and more startups. And so through Algarve Tech Hub, we have a group called Algarve Evolution, which the whole idea is to connect all the municipalities throughout the Algarve, put on events in different locations, bring people together for community events. We have a lot of people who are retired, semi-retired, startup people, people from the municipality. And then we do a big event at the end of the year, which will be November 6th and 7th, the Algarve Tech Hub Summit, where there'll be like 300, maybe up to 500 people there, but just bringing together the whole startup ecosystem in the Algarve with the idea of we're going to be doing hackathons with the university. So if you imagine Facebook's hackathon, DJs, beer, Coca-Cola, we're going to be doing, it's going to be all focused around AI apps and AI agents.
Yeah.
And we're going to be bringing in Astro Lab is going to be there, the top technologists, Google, I think it's Google Labs is going to be there as well. They're going to be helping to advise the students and young professionals and helping them launch startups very, very quickly. And then we're also doing a startup showcase during the Tech Hub Summit and showing off the top 6 startups throughout the Algarve, bringing attention to early stage startups, companies that are further along with revenue, or even companies that are VC funded.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So you're really doing a lot for that region, it sounds like.
Yeah, we're bringing in...
What's it like you're cooperating with the local businesses and startups there and governments and so on?
I would say we're still in the early days. So the government, I think the municipalities, it's very political. So we're trying to build relationships with Albufeira, for example. Albufeira is kind of known as more of a tourist party destination.
Yeah.
And Albufeira, they make a lot of money from that, but they want to evolve their image. So they want more nomads there. So they're investing in that. They want to invest more in entrepreneurship. And so we provide that solution. I mean, the nomads are great, but they're typically in and out within a few months, and they can help support the ecosystem. But generally, we're looking for people that are either going to move here full time or be remote workers coming and going from their home countries. And they're looking to build things, not necessarily empire builders, I would say, because it's I would say a lot of people are more 1, 2, 3 person startups, or even startups that are even unknown to the groups down there. I've even dug up some startups that even Miguel didn't know about. He's amazed at how I'm able to uncover these startups in the region that they didn't even, they've been there for years, they didn't even know they existed.
Right, that's super cool. And you've also been doing a lot of stuff in Madeira, is that correct?
Yeah, we launched the first digital nomad village in the world in Madeira during the pandemic, and that was launched by Gonzalo Hall, as my business partner. It was launched independent of Nomad X, but once he launched it, that's when we merged the brand Nomad X with his initiative. Just he was doing it more on a consulting basis. And we got tons of press, like GQ magazine named it Zoom Island. We were in CNN, we were in Washington Post, we were in all the big journals, hundreds of journals. And we originally thought there'd only be 30 people who were going to show up, and we ended up with 2,000 people there on a consistent basis monthly. And it's generated each year probably over $30 million plus in economic impact. When Madeira was having a really hard time because no tourists were coming into the island because of the pandemic, but there was nowhere for the nomads to go. And Madeira was very flexible in terms of allowing people onto the island. And so it just became this destination for digital nomads.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was a really amazing thing. And now he's doing the same thing down in Brazil, where we have a contract with the Tourism Bureau in Brazil, and Rio. We have a big project in Rio at the moment, and then also a project in Pipa.
Oh, okay.
And he launched another project down in Cape Verde, Cabo Verde, African colony. It used to be a colony of Portugal, but now it's part of Africa.
That's amazing.
South of Madeira. And so the idea is to kind of create a bridge across the Azores, Madeira, all the way down through Cabo Verde, and then down to, he's almost like, I guess, a modern day, like Magellan, or one of these guys,
Silk Road,
Vasco da Gama.
Yeah, Vasco
and
da
he probably
Gama.
doesn't like that so much, because it's like, I don't know how that appeals to people, but it's like, we're basically creating these like nomad colonies around the world. And all these different governments are looking to attract nomads, but nomads don't necessarily want to go just because there's a nomad visa. They want to go where the other nomads are and where their community exists, and where the government's supporting them. And so this has been like a very successful model that he's been building out.
Sounds like you should get a gold medal from the Portuguese government.
Well, we did. We won the most. We won the most innovative tourism award. I think it was back in like 2022.
Wow. Okay. You see?
Yeah.
So you got some recognition.
We did. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. It's like one of the most successful projects they've ever had of this type before. And so the idea would be to take
the
this
Nomad
project.
village in Madeira.
Yeah, and it also expanded Funchal. I'd say is the biggest market. There's a group in Funchal called Madeira Friends, and I would say about 80 to 90% of all the nomads are based in Funchal, because that's the big city. But then you also have Ponta do Sol. You've got other tiny villages, Machico, and different places around Santa Cruz. They're also really nice.
Are the nomads like staying long term on the island?
I would say generally they're staying there 2 to 3 months on average, and then they're returning. A lot of them are returning each year. But after the pandemic, as all the other markets opened up, so now it's like there's a lot more competition for other places for them to go. But I would say it's like it's a top destination, because a lot of the entrepreneurs want to go there. It's a destination where they can go, they can meet other people, relax, amazing hiking.
Yeah.
A
great work-life balance, if you will.
Super lifestyle oriented.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really, really nice. It's like it's a very magical place. It's been named like the top island destination in the world, I think like a dozen years in a row or so. It's just like it's like a Hawaii, or it's like a Jurassic Park type place.
It looks amazing on the picture. I want to go.
Okay.
I know Michelle Marr, she's the base there, and she's
Marie,
a good friend. So
yeah, she's really good friends of mine. I'm actually I help mentor Michelle, so
That's
I've been working with her for a while.
Cool.
And then even like before she moved there, I was giving her advice that you should really move your business to Madeira, because like, this is a huge opportunity. And she moved to Madeira, and it's like off to the races.
You think that place has like elevated her business somehow?
Definitely, 100%. Because before she was here in Lisbon, and I think for her business, it's more of a destination type business. And then being in Madeira, just such a beautiful location, and especially now with it taking off for nomads, and it's an easy destination to get to from like Western Europe and also from the US or from the UK.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a great spot, and a lot of people want to go there. So I think it's done really well for her. She's got her Nomad Island Fest in December of each year. That's really popular, and so it's good. And then so there's a whole like different players in the ecosystem there, and she's one of the main players in the ecosystem.
Right. No, I definitely have to visit.
And then we also have a big party that we throw. So where Ponta do Sol is, I started a party there during the pandemic, which was a little bit off the record because we weren't supposed to throw social events. We threw this event called Purple Fridays, and that's been going on I think for about 3 or 4 years, and it's the number one. It's a sunset rave party every Friday night from about 7 until 11:30, and we bring in like nomad DJs, top DJs from around the world, from Ibiza, from Portugal, from Brazil. And it's like amazing light show, rave dancers.
Wow.
And it's just like 300 to 500, about 300 people, but I'd say we probably get about 800 RSVPs for this event every week.
That's amazing.
And it's like the number one party in the island. Like the DJs come there and they say it's even better than Ibiza.
Okay, really?
Yeah, that's amazing. So if you go to Madeira, definitely check out Purple Fridays.
No, for sure. There seems to be a lot of cool things.
Yeah, it's
going
amazing.
On the topic of remote work and so on, with the AI development, where do you see this trend going with remote work?
I definitely think AI is the future. It's human plus AI, or AI plus human. AI could be your boss, it could be your assistant, it could be your wingman.
Totally.
So I think AI is the future. So I think it's like adapting to AI, and I try and incorporate every AI into at least like my advisory services, where I'm providing advice based on my experience, combining that with AI feedback, and then really trying to be very comprehensive in the way I'm approaching things when I'm working with my mentees. Plus it helps speed up the feedback loop, so it allows me to be very fast and without having to have infrastructure around me. But I really think the agentic web, the AI agents, not just bots, but sophisticated agents that are interacting with third-party websites is really the future.
Right.
You're already starting to see this where there's less traffic maybe coming from Google.
Is this what's called Web 4, possibly?
Yeah, well, I think Web 3, Web 4. So as we head into Web 4, that's all the agentic web. That's more about agents interacting with agents. So instead of us interacting together, it could be our digital twins having the same conversation.
Right. a highly dynamic and interesting development.
Yeah, and transacting on our behalfs and
Right.
taking care of, not just researching things and bring back information, but actually handling all the transactions, interacting with the APIs, and instead of
Right.
blocking the bots, really figuring out ways to interact with the bots or even advertise to the bots or offer promotion to my agent.
So there's like a sequence of agents taking care of different
Right.
tasks, right?
Yes. Almost like a team of agents. I almost
Team
look at
of
it as like a
agents.
tool belt. If you're a
Right.
contractor, construction, you have different agents that are performing different services
Almost
for you.
simulating a whole team of humans, you could say.
So I think, it's all going to come down, well, what does your tool belt look like? So
Right.
what are the different tools that you want to use? So for me, it's like, I'm pretty simple in this stuff. I'm not technical. I wish I was more technical, but I'm more strategy, visionary, building partnerships, sales, like that's really more my focus. But I think as it relates to AI agents, like that's where I'm very interested at the moment in terms of investment. So there's a lady locally I'm working with, Violetta Check-in, who's a young venture capitalist, in her young 30s, and she's very connected in the whole category. So I'm looking to make some early stage investments with her guidance and helping to uncover some of the top companies in this category.
That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. So getting in very early on some early stage businesses. Also looking to do stuff here locally in Portugal. So I've been making some investments in biotech. For example, there's a company out of Sagres in the south of Portugal where they've uncovered a pain molecule. It's a single molecule, but basically it's a painkiller for chronic pain that is the same efficacy as an opioid or as a morphine. And it's non-addictive, and it doesn't numb your whole body. It only attacks the area where the nerves are stimulated by the pain, and will just basically calm down the nerves.
Wow.
And they're getting into the stages of clinical trials and licensing the product to other pharmaceutical companies. There's another company out of the Algarve University that's a couple PhD women started called Express Tech, which they've created a cancer testing kit that's 20% more effective than anything else on the market. A lot of cancer goes mistreated or misdetected, and instead of using DNA, they're using this new RNA-based technology that they have patented, and that's coming out of the Algarve University. And then I've also invested in a company called Humanos, which is a blockchain AI company here in Lisbon, but basically it's an identity platform where your identity is saved on the blockchain instead of on servers. So it's much more safe, and they're working mostly B2B through corporations, and they've got a bunch of use cases and growing very rapidly. Also recently invested in a young entrepreneur who's only 20 years old, who I've been mentoring for the last 2 or 3 years, and he's doing a business where they're helping to use AI to build up the recruitment funnel to help narrow it down, even using digital twin interviews. And he moved from Egypt to Saudi Arabia. He's out in Silicon Valley at the moment, and he just got into Y Combinator.
Amazing.
20 years old, and his business partner is 22 years old. It's crazy, yeah.
Crazy. And they're from here?
Out of Egypt. He contacted me on LinkedIn, like you did.
Okay.
He's a really interesting guy. I stay in touch with him. I've been assisting him, and then he just moved to the U.S. I wrote him one of his first checks,
That's
and
amazing.
they just got into Y Combinator.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I like working with the younger entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
I'm not just purely investing in Portugal. I like Portugal, but I don't have enough experience investing here yet.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that I'm seeing here in Portugal that I'm a little bit hesitant about, not only when I was an entrepreneur and hearing things about the venture capitalist and the angels and the Portugal Ventures, which I've been talking about a bit on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you've been a little bit outspoken about that recently on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Can you elaborate a little bit on that? What's the main challenges you see with that?
I think these organizations are nice, but it reminds me a lot of Atlanta in the early days, where there wasn't a lot of venture capital, there wasn't a lot of money available. And I think where the venture capitalists come in, they give you very low valuations. The terms are very restrictive. They want to sit board position for a low amount of money in the company, and they want decision-making authority. And then they can only make decisions once they have their general assemblies, which are every quarter, and then it's very bureaucratic. And so they slow down the process, and sometimes they slow down the funding process that's needed in the future. And so for me, it's all about speed.
Yeah.
And so while Portugal Ventures has invested over 300 million into startups at different stages, they're investing in companies all the way up to think Series A, but they might have gone as high as Series D. I think what they really should be focused on are the very early stage companies, pre-seed, seed companies, and then getting out of the way. Obviously providing advice like I do, helping guide and provide advice to the companies, but don't slow the companies down. It should be a real facilitator for success in the ecosystem. And in talking to my law firms that I've worked with, the top law firms here in Portugal, I won't name them, but they've told me all along never take money from Portugal Ventures.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like as tempting as it might be, it's it's like like I've said in my post, like the devil in sheep's clothing. You know, sometimes you think you're going to heaven and you're in hell. And I would say generally, and that's not been everyone's experience because they have invested a lot of money, but generally I'd say there's like a lot of feedback coming through to me that's supporting this approach. And then we're also going to be I think there's also going to be a news story coming out on this topic probably the next couple months that's really well researched beyond the information that I have. You know, I'm just basing it on my conversations with other entrepreneurs, with investors, with the legal professionals, and also based on even companies I'm involved in that are having issues with them as well.
I see. Okay.
But I think for this ecosystem to evolve and become really successful, and it's not just Portugal Ventures, so I'm isolating them because I think they're the worst of the worst, but they're all kind of bad. The end result is a lot of these companies either get grants or they get this investment money and they get stifled, and the grants are really nice because it's basically free money, and they get started here, and if the company's very successful, they're only able to move so fast. A lot of companies, they're going to move to the UK, they're going to move to Germany, they're going to move to the US to accelerate the development of the company.
Sure.
And so
it's all about being able to move quickly in those early stages, right?
And then being able to get the funding rounds they need. And so here, their valuations are so low, the terms are very difficult, the venture money is so slow, whereas in the US, they're cutting checks much faster.
Right.
So a lot of the teams are looking to move to the US. I mean, some of them still having a base here, some of them haven't been here for years, and you read about it in the news, and they say they're Portugal companies, but they haven't even been in Portugal for 5-6 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you research it, yeah.
Really?
Portugal's taking credit for them. They haven't actually contributed anything.
Wow.
Or some of these government funds, they take credit, but they just might have been some money that's in. They weren't the ones that were the really driving force behind it. So it's like you got to kind of really do the digging in terms of what's behind these companies.
I see.
And that's what I hope to expose a little bit more so we can actually create a better ecosystem here in Portugal.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's great, man. So what would you do differently if you were able to run this VC firm? How would
I think it's all about, at the end of the day, it's all customer discovery. It's all doing what's in the best interest of the customer. So I think it's taking a step back, really interviewing all the startup ecosystem, ones you funded, ones you haven't funded, law firms, investors, VCs, and really get feedback on how good of a job they're doing, what's working, what's not working, and then get that feedback and also evaluate what's from a competitive perspective, what's going on in other markets. And obviously not everyone's perfect. There's no one model that's probably the best. There are probably ones that are better. I don't think ours is the best by any means, far from it. But I think we can learn a lot from what's out there and then take all of that information and try and create the best solution that we can, and
right.
Evolving that on a regular basis like a startup would. Not just getting set in this mindset like this is good enough. There's a lot of this good enough mentality, and I think it's, in my mind, that's more about survival. It's not about a success mentality. And we're not trying to survive. We're trying to, in my mind, as a startup entrepreneur, you want to be in a position where you can win. And if you can't move fast, how do you win? Speed wins. Whether you're racing a car, whether you're in the boxing ring, no matter what it is, it's like, if you can be a huge player, it's like David versus Goliath, Totally. It's like, so it's the David, I think, is really that's going to win as a startup. And for David to win, he's got to be super fast.
Yeah, it's all about speed.
Yes.
In the startup world.
Very, very. It's all about speed. It's adjusting to the market, adjusting to the customers.
Iterating.
And then really, once you find that market fit, then scaling. So I think what we need to do is take a step back before we take a step forward. And not only for Portugal Ventures, but I'd say for all the VC funds here. Because I feel like what's going to happen is the US venture capitalists, other venture capitalists are going to step in, provide the funding, and then Portugal is going to get cut out of the mix.
Exactly, yeah. And there's a lot of cooperation between the US and Portugal, I think. There's some...
the
there's
Red
a lot
Bridge
of
group.
It's
the Red Bridge. I just went to one of their events last week. It's a group on the West Coast because they share the Red Bridge from San Francisco here to Lisbon.
Right.
And so they do a lot of social events, content events. I just went to my first event because usually I'm in the Algarve, so I went to my first event last week, and I would say it's tremendous networking.
Okay.
And I think they're going to bring a lot to the table. A lot of them are rather new here in Portugal, so they may not be as familiar with the scene. But I think they can bring a lot of expertise to Portugal and help to even advance things even further and faster and build some great bridges between here, San Francisco.
That's cool.
I'm building bridges with Atlanta, with the company C4Us I'm involved with. I brought in a couple advisors that have a ton of experience in biotech, and they're helping to do fundraising for C4Us, and then they're also helping to do licensing deals with big US pharmaceuticals. And this is like a blind spot for the Portuguese company.
Right.
And they may even need to have a headquarters in another location too, just because Portugal is a small market, maybe something in the UK or Germany or US at some point. I think if they want to become super successful.
And there's quite a few US-based companies here in Portugal, right? Like tech companies. I think
Yeah.
they have some offices here.
I mean, like Google's here, Facebook's here, so you have a lot of, and then smaller companies are here as well. You have a lot of like freelancers, more independent people. But yeah, it's like, I think it's a great lifestyle place. So it's like, I think it's all about these days, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs now that you don't need as many people. You don't need the office, because before the office is where all the papers were and the servers were.
Right.
So if you weren't in the office, and then you had dial up, so it's like you couldn't get much done, although you could work remotely. But it's, my first job was remote in 1997. So it's like, so we've always been very remote, you know.
For sure.
And even our businesses, we'd have like co-working spaces that we would work out of instead of an office, or work out of accelerators. And then the most recent business, it was fully remote since like 2018 or so.
No, you could really have the best of two worlds here, I think, with like this amazing lifestyle that Portugal provides, and like working on cutting edge tech like AI and whatever.
Yeah,
like,
I think there's a big group of blockchain people here. There's a lot of very sophisticated people here in Portugal.
Yeah.
I think the main thing is, what is it going to take to keep them here? And not only for them to be here, but for them to also contribute and advance, you know, what we're trying to work on here.
The country.
And for Portugal to be open-minded enough to listen.
Right.
Because I feel like a lot of times it's there's a good enough mentality.
Right.
Or there's a lot of doubts, you know, like they don't say doubts, and it's not even a word we really use in the US, but there's a lot of doubts. And I think it's just getting past that mentality and getting into more of a growth mindset. And so that's where I'm trying to like kind of push the boundaries a bit. I'm kind of irritating the situation a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think if there's enough pressure coming from the startups and from people that are in a position to say something, because a lot of people aren't going to say anything because it's a very controversial topic. The startups don't want to alienate the ecosystem. The lawyers don't want to alienate the ecosystem. So it takes someone like me, more of a lone ranger, that's willing to put myself out there and say something.
That's great.
So I get a lot of messages where people are like, you know.
Do you get a lot of support from startups and entrepreneurs?
I mean, yeah, tons of messages coming in from them in terms of support. And not everyone wants to post something online because they're worried, because they're engaged with this, you know, with this Portugal Ventures, or engaged with other players in the ecosystem. But I think everyone pretty much agrees that this is an
issue
for the pretty much, not everyone, because there are some people that are, you know, really feel like everything is fine.
Okay.
And that's just fine. That's good. You know, like that's good that they have done their job for some people. I mean, that's good, but not for everyone. So what do we need to do to improve? So I think that needs to be more the mentality versus a good enough. And I'll be surprised if actually Portugal Ventures even reaches out to me. Like I expect them not even to reach out to me, although I've sent them a message.
They should.
And Startup Portugal a message. I've heard nothing from them yet, but I don't expect to hear anything from them, because it's like,
they would
that's
really
the mentality.
No, exactly, but they would really benefit from a conversation with you, obviously.
Yeah.
That's how you grow, right?
So I'm stirring the pot a bit at the moment. I don't plan to stir it too much more through August because everyone's on holiday, but then coming back and then having a little more formal approach as we get back from holiday, and hopefully making some improvements in the ecosystem. But I know it's going to take time. It's not an overnight thing,
right?
As we all know here in Portugal. This is like a 2 or 3 year probably time horizon realistically.
No, you're doing a great job, man. I'm fully supporting you.
Okay,
it's
thanks.
amazing. I'm following you on LinkedIn, and I'm seeing these posts, and I'm cheering you on.
Okay.
So it's great. But when you've been, for example, when you set up this Nomad village in Madeira and all these ventures, Nomad X, how was that? Was it easy to get it set up, like, or?
That was, I would say, nothing's ever easy. But Gonzalo Hall is known to be one of the top influencers for remote work and digital nomad in the world, and he grew up in Lisbon. And I think he was at a conference and brought this up to one of the leaders in the municipality there, and they jumped at the opportunity during the pandemic because they were desperate, because there weren't many tourists there and the economy was really suffering. And so it was it was like it's just like a divine intervention, I guess.
Sure.
So we were able to get involved. We were able to have a huge impact. We built out this model. Gonzalo is really the genius behind it.
So it's always about who you know and finding the right people to talk to, right?
I think for me it would have been difficult coming in as an American to make this happen, but since Gonzalo is a Portuguese guy, he was able to pull this thing together very easily.
Right.
And the same even down in Brazil, and now he's got the reputation for doing this. And he's also putting on a lot of conferences like the Nomad World. He's got one down in Rio, one that's going to be in Mexico City, and he's got the one here in the Algarve in Portugal as well.
That's cool. Super cool. And on a more personal note, do you have any non-negotiable routines or habits to stay healthy and to have all this energy?
I mean, I was playing a lot of paddle tennis before, so I used to be a big tennis player back in the day in Atlanta. It was a huge tennis community, about 80,000 players. I used to play very actively in Atlanta. I would say when I was really busy with work, I'm not the best role model. And my generation's a lot different than this current generation, so it was much more of just a grinding obsession mentality, and I really wasn't working out the way I should, put on a lot of weight, created a lot of stress, but it was in New York City, so it's a lot of dinners, a lot of drinking, it's a lot of like just working all the time, just nonstop. As you know, as a startup founder, it's never ending. And so with all the stress and the anxiety and the drinking and not getting much sleep and blah, 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 it's not very conducive to working out, unfortunately.
Sure.
So I always call it my executive build, because when I get in these startups, eventually I get so stressed I start putting on weight, I guess some people lose weight, I put on weight. Right. I call that my executive build. But usually when I'm out of the startup at the moment, I'm trying to stay more on the outside of the startups and not on the inside, because I'm kind of just burned out from running companies, but I like assisting and providing guidance.
Cool.
Just to the CEOs, not in a board position, not on a board of advisors, but just purely to the CEO.
Okay.
Where I can be like a trusted resource, where it's not going through this board filter, advisory filter.
That's cool. Right. Because I see you do a lot of outdoor activities as well. You seem to be a big outdoor guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I used to have done a lot of snowboarding, a lot of like kind of long distance hiking, trekking. I've gone on a lot of experiences like that. At the moment, I had a bad injury snowboarding, but I was doing a lot of paddle tennis. Like I love paddle tennis. It's been a great way to meet a lot of people.
It's a great way to network.
And so competitively, I like the competition, and I was winning some tournaments.
Really?
And so it was like, he just really gets that fire back, because to be able to actually go out there, compete and win,
sure.
It kind of brings out like maybe instead of doing it through sports, which I used to do, I was doing it through business, and it's not the same thing really.
Sure.
But it's just that dopamine hit that I need.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a big sport in Portugal for sure, paddle.
It's a great way to meet people. I think
it's
like, if I'd say like, it's super, super fun. I've met so many people through paddle, and then it's just, it's a very healthy activity.
Yeah.
And then I love the golf as well. So it's like I really started getting into golf. I'd injured my knee a few years ago. I injured the ACL, so I was like, just got into some different golfing groups down the Algarve. They have these golf societies where you join up with like 20 or 30 different golfers, and they usually get about half price on the courses, and then everyone throws in like 10 euros into the pot, and then it's like if you win that day, you'll win maybe a portion of the pot of money. I said I was basically stealing the money from these retirees.
Okay.
But I wasn't winning all the time. But it's competitive. They take it very seriously. It's a lot of British, Irish, and Scottish guys, but mostly an older group of people. So I'm like, where I live, I'm kind of one of the older people in our group. But then with the golfers, I'm like the youngest guy by like 10 years.
That's funny. No, that's a huge thing in Algarve, right? Golf.
Yeah, it's
like
massive.
Multiple,
I mean, some of the best golfing in all of Europe.
World. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's super cool. So you're in a good spot.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, great paddle tennis, amazing beaches, very amazing lifestyle down in the Algarve. I think it's a great destination for entrepreneurs. Yeah. A lot of the entrepreneurs get stuck up here in Lisbon. I mean, Lisbon's nice because there are so many activities, and there's a lot of social activities and business activities and conferences. But the Algarve, if you're looking just to escape and relax and have your own sort of lifestyle business, and then you want to become a part of an association, that's what our Algarve Evolution and Tech Hub are all about.
I'm really looking forward to check that out more, for sure.
Yeah, you should come down to our conference. It's going to be really amazing.
Definitely.
Before Web Summit, yeah. And I have my friend coming in from Georgia Tech, because they have a group there called CreateX, which is considered one of the top accelerators in the whole U.S. in terms of feeders into Y Combinator, number 2 in the U.S. And a guy I'm friends with had donated about $15 million to Georgia Tech to help. They hadn't been doing much with startups. And this is about 10 years ago. And since then, they've, I think, created 650 startups, impacted about 30,000 students. I think companies have generated over $4 or $5 billion in market value. Wow. So my friend that runs the program is going to be coming to the Algarve Tech Hub Summit to help educate us about their process that they've been doing, so we can start applying their process here at the Algarve University and the Algarve Evolution, to apply a lot of their strategies that they've been using to help kind of replicate on a smaller scale what they've been doing, and then ideally trying to create a lot of these like lightweight or startups and more, I'd say, lifestyle, lightweight, and I think the AI space is really a great opportunity for the Algarve, because you're not really looking to bring huge number of teams in. It's smaller groups of people and more lifestyle, maybe more lifestyle oriented, while the bots are doing the work and the agents here on the beach are playing golf or drinking Vino Verde or whatever it might be.
Great setup. Yeah, that's amazing, man. Maybe we could just do a little quick round of quick questions to finish it off, if you don't
Okay,
mind.
sure thing.
What would you say is a good book that every entrepreneur should read? Any favorites?
Let's see here. I was, I mean, the one that the first real one that I read, I've read that multiple times, is just, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. But I think generally reading books, autobiographies about entrepreneurs, like when I was young, even in like high school, I was reading a lot of these books. And I think there's a lot you can learn about their entrepreneurial experience.
The best place you ever worked remotely from?
I think Madeira is really maybe one of those beautiful places in the world to work remotely. If I were a digital nomad working remotely at the moment, I would spend a lot of time in Madeira.
That's cool. Have to check it out.
And I think also, obviously, the Algarve. So I think Algarve more permanently, I feel like. But for like a few months, I think Madeira is amazing. Algarve, I think, is a great base camp place.
Cool, man. Favorite productivity tool or hack?
It's really funny because it's like I like to just go with the flow. So for me, it's all about trying to really focus on not to get too worried about, I'm not a detailed person as much, so I'd really try, and I can dive into the details as much as I need to, but trying to focus on the 20% that's going to create 80% of the value. And every day thinking about like where can I provide the most value? What is the activity that's going to generate the most value?
Yeah.
But then I also think the other major thing is like giving to get. So I think it's really important to give back to the industry and to do things without expecting anything in return. And a lot of times, like, that's where the real rewards come back to you. It may not come back immediately, it may not come back ever, but generally, the universe has a way of rewarding you.
What goes around comes around somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's great advice. Any founders you admire at the moment?
Well, for me, it's like, I think like the most successful companies, I think, are run by the best entrepreneurs in the world. So for me, even when I'm investing in companies, I'm not investing in companies, I'm investing in entrepreneurs. So, I mean, obviously you've got like the best entrepreneurs of like Jeff Bezos and the founders of Google and like the top real sort of like industry icons, Elon Musk's. Like these are people that I think are just like, like especially like Elon Musk, some people hate him, some people like him, but at the end of the day, you're looking at a guy who's like, like the Steve Jobs of this day or the Rockefeller of this day, or even like a Warren Buffett, for example. So I think it's easy to get caught up in the finances of a company or in the pitch decks of a company. But I think at the end of the day, if you really get to know the founder and being an entrepreneur, I can really relate to other entrepreneurs. And for me, it's all about like investing in entrepreneurs.
That makes sense. One advice you would tell your 25-year-old self?
I think just go for it, not be afraid. And I think it's all about winning. You're really putting yourself in a position and finding a niche where you can win that matches up with your skill set, and then having fun along the way. Because I think it's really important to have fun, keep it fun for the employees. And as a startup, it's hard to attract talent because they're getting attracted by a lot of different companies. And they could be further along, paying them more money, who knows what. But creating a really unique culture in your company, obviously more from a top down, but creating an environment that's really compelling for people, and then putting the people first and the customers first. I think it's like at the end of the day, it's all about the people. And if the people like working at your company, they're going to do a good job for your customers. If you do a great job for the customers, the company's going to do really well as well.
Amazing to talk to you, Dave.
Okay, thank you so much.
This ain't just Lisbon, it's Portugal wide. Algarve to Madeira, Lagos to Porto. We talking lifestyle, legacy, elevation.